Hey guys, it is Electric Joe back here to bring y'all another Gravity Falls video. This one is going to be doing ranking every single episode, worst to best. That's right, I've been promising y'all this one for a really long time, and I just haven't gone around to it yet. I'll admit it, I was slacking last week. I said I'd give it to y'all a week ago, but I'm giving it to y'all this week. So let's just hop right into it. I'm sure y'all are tired of waiting, and I'm sure y'all just want to see how I'm ranking this. So it's pretty obvious. Number 40, like I said, I want to hop right into this. So number 40 is Roadside Attraction. Uh, Not Roadside Attraction. What am I talking about, man? Little Gift Shop of Horrors. Little Gift Shop of Horrors. There are very few episodes of Gravity Falls that I don't enjoy, but this is kind of one of them, to be honest. It was great the first time around, but like now, I see a lot of problems with it. Stan is out of character. I mean, we know he's not afraid to be evil sometimes, break the law, commit tax fraud, stealing, lying, and, stealing radioactive waste from the government. But there's always kind of a reason, and he's just too evil in this episode. I know it's like supposed to be Halloween themed, so that makes sense. But like the stories aren't nearly as good as the one from Bottomless Pit anyway, and it feels kind of like lazy and rushed compared to last year's Summerween or like the year before Summerween episode. And also, I'm not sure if this is just me, but it seems like the animation, there was like a different animation team for this episode, because usually the animation is much better than it is in this episode. But I don't know. Um, if y'all love this episode, that's cool. I'm okay with it. It's funny, and I still love the Waddle story. The fourth wall breaks were hilarious, and still wasn't necessarily a bad episode by definition. Just non-par with the rest of the series, and the rest of the series is my favorite series of all time. So that's not every episode is gonna be on par with the best series of all time, obviously. I'm not gonna lie, this used to be my least favorite episode of all time. There were a few funny moments, and it was cool to have a relaxing episode before the insane finale. That's what a lot of series do. But seriously, seriously, Candy and Dipper? Did anyone ever ship that? I never heard anyone ship that. And it was a perfect opportunity for them to pay off the Pacifica and Dipper foreshadowing from Northwest Mansion Mystery, since they didn't have time to do that in the finale, obviously, But the opportunity was really wasted in this episode. So yeah, this is one of the only season 2 episodes that you're gonna see this, high up on the list. Especially like after Not What He Seems, every episode was pretty amazing. But this one just was non par with the rest of the series once again. So another episode that isn't the greatest, but isn't nearly the worst, is Dipper versus Mallinus. Now this episode wasn't bad by any means. I love the Disco Girl sequence. The Manitars were hilarious, but unlike every other episode, this one just doesn't feel that special. At times it felt mean-spirited towards Dipper, but that was made up for in the end. Still, besides creating a meme and introducing the multi-bear, this episode didn't do too much for me. Um, I know a lot of people would rank it high for the Disco Girl sequence, and I do love the Grunkle Stan dating thing. It was freaking hilarious. I love it, but it wasn't one of the best. So coming in at our number 37 spot, I debated in my head whether to give 37 to Headhunters or to Dipper versus Mallinus, and in the end of the day, Headhunters was just way funnier. And not to mention, it introduced Duck Detective, bro, the most iconic character in Gravity Falls history. And also, there are just too many funny moments for this episode to not be on the list.
It seems like the kind of thing a responsible parent wouldn't want you doing. Good thing I'm an uncle. Avenge me, kids! Avenge me!
Alright, so I know this is going to be a controversial pick to put at number 36, but coming in at number 36 we have Sock Opera. Now 38 and 37 didn't prove this enough. I love every episode from 38 down, you know, but sock opera is one that is loved by the fans, I know. But to be honest, the reason it was ruined for me is because of Bill Dip. Now, Bill is still hilarious in it. This scene right here that I'm playing is still terrifying every time I watch it. Like, I can't believe that this got allowed in a kid show. But you know, it was an amazing moment. It was and it was a good episode. But you know, Build Up kind of ruined it, and also Mabel kind of ruined it. She was really annoying in this episode. And you know, Bill, who is kind of Satan in this show, literally calls Mabel out for being like really selfish, you know, and it's true. At times she is selfish, but the reason I still love this episode anyway is because of Mabel's apology in Journal number 3. But if it weren't for that, this episode could have been the last episode on my list because Build It is just awful. Like I don't know why anyone would ship a demon with a 12-year-old. Like look at this man. Why would Dipper want to date someone that just destroyed his laptop? I know I wouldn't. So coming in our number 35 spot, I have the Love God here. And no, this isn't a very good episode, but it does humanize Robbie a lot. This episode has like the hardest code to crack in the entire show, and it was really sweet and funny, and it was in between some really good episodes. So it gets a pass. You know, there's a lot of good moments. I like that we're finally seeing that Dipper actually does have some friends in this episode. You know, he kind of feels like a loner through the entire summer, and but you know, like he finally gets some friends in this episode, and the concept of like Mabel just trying to help out Robbie was just really sweet, and that's why I put it above you know, all these other episodes I still love, but you know, I just think that that the fact that Mabel was like much sweeter in this episode than she usually is, just I had to put it above. And oh my gosh, dude! But this guy really annoyed me. I'm not gonna lie. The Love God himself, like, what the, what the heck even is this guy? Rip frickin' Tyrone, dude. You know, you were the only one who understood. Honestly, seeing how Dipper still misses Tyrone in the last Mabelcorn makes this episode freaking depressing. Still, it was a fun, like, party-themed one, and Pacifica was introduced, which was cool, and Grunkle Stan, like, really got moves. I really, it was a really fun episode, and I loved the, like, Doodle Bob reference, and and just like the whole like kind of cloning concept, you know, in a supernatural show, kind of had to happen. But it was really sad, man. Like Tyrone is definitely the saddest death in all of Gravity Falls. Rip that man.
You were the only one who understood.
Yeah, so this is another episode that is really mean-spirited towards Dipper, and seeing the return of Gideon was awesome and well needed, but you know, it didn't go as dark as I thought it did, as I thought it would. Now, yeah, if an episode is mean-spirited towards Dipper, it kind of loses a lot of respect in my mind, you know, but it was hilarious. The tickling sequence will always be one of my favorites in the show, and it wasn't striving to be incredible, you know, it was striving to be comedy-driven. I still love this episode, like I said. I love every episode from 38 down, but it's just, this just isn't one of my favorites anymore, but it's still amazing, and it's still got to come in at number 33, at least. So yeah, Lamb Before the Swine gets 33. Fun fact: this was the second episode of Gravity Falls I saw, and it was when it first aired, and it had an amazing concept, hilarious, and even though everyone messes up in this episode, well, Stan and Seuss mess up in this episode, they make up for it in the end in such a sweet way.
From X hard I stab at thee!
Coming in at number 32, we have Land Before the Sun. Wait, what? Frick. Coming in at number 31, we have Boss Mabel, one of the funniest in the series. And now, the Stan Was Wrong song is really what got this episode here. But it was really funny, and it was one of the biggest unsolved mysteries in the story of Gravity Falls was finally addressed. And thank Glob, because I have been wondering this since episode 1.
Am I a man? Am I a baby? These are legitimate questions.
I'm Stan and I was wrong. I'm singing the Stan Wrong song. I shouldn't have taken that chance. Now here's my remorseful dance.
Delicate!
Ah.
Jazzier!
Hey, give me that! Oh, my back!
What do you think? Take 30!
So the main reason that I love the Gulf War is because one, it started the Pacifica redemption arc, and two, I just love this anime clip, bro. I don't know who made this, but I do not own this clip, copyright purposes. But yeah, this is a really cute scene. I love it, and I think it's even better as like at least this scene is better as an anime. Someone tried to recreate Not What He Seems with anime technology or whatever, but I don't know. I don't think it worked. I really don't, but this scene really did work, and it worked really well. So the Gulf War, just because it bursted creativity in the fan base that was this widespread, you know, it comes in at number 30. It's not even Alex Hirsch that made this episode good. It was the fans. So, you know, thank you, the Gravity Falls fan base, for being awesome. So y'all knew that this would be pretty high on the list. The inconvenience scene. Basically, the main reason that this episode is where it is because it is quotable as heck. I love the inconvenience scene, mainly because of this scene right here. Mabel on her sugar high trip. It was amazing, and it was just... Nah, I love the onward Aoshima thing. I love the would you like to eat my candy paw? It was also it was pretty scary. It was probably the first, like, you know, The Hand That Rocks and Mabel was dark, but this one was scary, and it introduced horror to Gravity Falls. So yeah, number 28 is Irrational Treasure. I can't say too much about this episode besides it's really funny, and I'm still waiting for Dipper to use the President's Key. Also, Gideon made a short cameo in this episode, which was cool. You know, Pacifica was seen again, and it was just a really good episode. In my opinion, it was really cute, and it was really like kind of a classic Dipper and Mabel like go on an adventure, you know, kind of like those classic Rick and Morty episodes that every Rick and Morty fan always wants to see. You know, we didn't get many of those in season 3, and in Gravity Falls we didn't get many of those in season 2. But this was just a classic Dipper and Mabel adventure, and it was one of my favorites. This episode is basically the better version of Little Gift Shop of Horrors and the crappy version of Tales of Ba Sing Se. Basically, you know, Tale of Ba Sing Se popularized this formula, and it's fitting that you know, two of the greatest shows of all time have an episode formalized like this. In Gravity Falls, there aren't really that many like special ones. The best short story that they did, I think, was Truthache. Truthache was pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. But Seuss's story and what is this one? Dipper story? It wasn't the best. That being said, I still really enjoyed Bottomless Pit. It had a lot going for it. It was really funny. And honestly, I love Dipper's new voice. It actually cracked me up, especially whenever he was like, "I'll be right back after these messages." And then there was like an actual commercial break. That was amazing. That was honestly so great.
You like my new voice? You'll see. I'll be right back after these messages. I mean, goodbye.
So, coming in at number 26, we have Boys Crazy, a plot that was pretty mediocre in the A section, but in the B plot, it was amazing and very storyline involved. Okay, so this episode has my favorite song in the whole show. It was kind of creepy at times, but Jerome number 2 was finally revealed, and it was really funny. You know, the villain of the show was finally introduced. Well, at least the first villain of the show. And he didn't disappoint, even if his appearance was disappointing. You know, he was honestly pretty terrifying. And he had a admittedly beautiful singing voice.
Oh, I can see what others can't see. It ain't some sideshow trick, it's an innate ability. Where others are blind, I am futurely inclined. And you too could see if you was whittle on me. Come on, everybody, rise up! I want y'all to keep it going. Keep it going! You wish your son would call you more.
I'm leaving everything to my cat.
I sense that you've been here before.
I wasn't giving it away.
Come on, I'll read your mind if I'm able. Something tells me you're named Mabel.
How do you do that?
So coming in at our number 24 spot, this is going to be the Deep End. Now this episode is just super nostalgic for me, and Mormando is one of my favorite side characters of all time. That's basically all there is to me loving this episode. You know, it's really funny, and Dipper and Mabel both get their first kiss to the same person, weirdly enough. And yeah, it's one of the first episodes I saw. It didn't hook me on Gravity Falls. That was Tourist Trapped, but it was still a great episode, and every time I see it, I get this summer time nostalgia. So, yeah. Deep End, you got number 24 spot. So, yeah. The Legend of the Gobblewonker is another summertime nostalgia one. It's, again, one of the first episodes I saw. I kind of had a binge like 5 years ago of Gravity Falls, a couple episodes, and a couple months ago, I watched the whole series, and yeah, I'm pretty sure most of you already knew that. McGucket is introduced in this episode, and it's just really funny, especially all the Stan parts. I love every single Stan part, and plus, we get the most iconic line in the series in this episode.
Hey! Want to hear a joke? Here goes. My ex-wife still misses me, but her aim is getting better. Her aim is getting better. You see, it's funny because marriage is terrible.
So this is the first episode with Ford in it, and I love the fourth wall breaks. I honestly really like the villains in this episode, despite how cheesy they are. You know, they fit in a show like Gravity Falls, and it's the first regular episode of Ford in it. But it's nice seeing him just like on a regular adventure with Dipper, and kind of like the whole family is part of the supernatural this time, which usually isn't the case. In fact, had never been the case until up to this point. So that's freaking amazing. I love it, and it has to come in at number 22 for those facts alone. So yeah, this is the Time Traveler's Pig. I really like the Time Traveler's Pig. It's a great episode. It's the moment that Mabel found the love of her and basically everyone's life, Waddles. You know, the most adorable creature in any show ever, literally. Like, how could I not put this episode at least like in the 20s just because of that fact? And also Mabel's kind of adorable in this episode too. Just I don't know. This episode's really cute. Like the Mabel and Dipper sibling stuff, you know, and like how Dipper sacrifices his perfect day for Mabel to have waddles, and yeah, it was just really sweet, basically all of it, and the whole concept is very lighthearted, which I really like lighthearted Gravity Falls episodes, to be honest, as long as they're written well, you know, not like Roadside Attraction lighthearted, but like this type of lighthearted. This is a great example of a good lighthearted Gravity Falls episode, and there are plenty. In fact, we're about to get, you know, to a whole section of them, so get ready. But not quite yet. Coming in at our number 20 spot is the Stanchurian Candidate. Now, this one was lighthearted for the most part, but the Gideon stuff, him like calling on Bill to like, I don't know, like possess him or something. I don't really know what was going on there. It was really creepy though. And this isn't really a lighthearted episode, but it's still really funny. And Stan was freaking beast in this episode. The way he saved Dipper and Mabel's lives, and Gideon was also a lot more evil in this episode. But Gideon made a great point that Dipper and Mabel were a lot more evil in this episode too. So yeah, it was just a really good episode. I liked it. It comes in at number 24. Basically, just Stan being the most badass he had ever been up to this point. So now we're down into the teens, and I'm showing this scene for the last Mabelcorn because this scene is the reason that the last Mabelcorn made it to the teens. You know, the A plot was pretty decent. You know, it wasn't terrible, but it wouldn't have gotten this episode to 19th. But the B plot with Ford, Dipper, and Bill, and all the flashbacks and stuff were amazing and creepy as heck. Honestly, like, dude, this felt like this scene especially felt like a scene from like the Gravity Falls movie, which I still have a lot of faith that it will be coming. But yeah, the B plot was amazing. Bill was amazing in this episode, but the A plot, again, was pretty mediocre.
You can't keep that rift safe forever. You'll flip up, and when you do...
Get out of here! You have no dominion in our world!
Maybe not right now, but things change, Stanford Pines. Things
I have to warn them. He's coming.
Alright guys, so coming in at the number 18 spot, this is gonna be Summerween. Summerween, it's probably the episode that everyone ended up like seeing as a kid, you know, and being traumatized by. For good reason. It was hilarious, and you know, it was replayed a lot back whenever Gravity Falls was first airing, and that makes sense because there was a big hiatus in between Summerween and Boss Mabel, which, like I said earlier in the video, Boss Mabel is really funny, but Summerween I think is a lot funnier. I really like the plot twist at the end, and it's there's just a lot of quotable scenes, and it's the first episode that genuinely scared me. Well, besides Inconveniencing and the Gideon episode. And okay, never mind. I take that back. But this episode was great, and it comes in at number 18.
At the end of the day, Summerween isn't about candy or costumes or even scary people. It's a day when the whole family can get together at one place and celebrate what really matters. Pure evil.
I ate a man alive tonight.
So coming in at the number 17 spot, we have Weirdmageddon Part 1. So this part feels really separate from the other two. Like I said, like it's like a standalone Bill episode where Dipper is like no longer the main character, you know. Now Bill is, which was cool to see and made the payoff worth it. But some of it was hard to watch, and I mean really hard to watch. Like
I kind of expected this. I wanted episode 1 to be like Bill in control, kind of, and not really any victory. Episode 2, the town getting together, and episode 3, the final fight, which is exactly what happened with a lot of emotion in between. But this episode really wasn't that emotional compared to Weird McGinn Part 2 and Weird McGinn Part 3, and some episodes before this episode. But it was really dark. And that's what I liked about Gravity Falls before I finished it for like the third time. I started to appreciate a lot more about the show than just the dark scenes. And this episode was one of the darkest, so it used to be one of my favorites. That's one of the reasons Sock Opera was one of my favorites and why it's not anymore. Really, the only thing that's good about Sock Opera is if you like the darkness in Gravity Falls, which I don't like it as much anymore. I'm still fine with it because it's realistic at times. I mean, that's weird showing this scene saying it's realistic, but it can be. Like an escape from reality. The Dipper scene, where he's talking to Mabel about how you can't escape from reality, you shouldn't run away from it, and you just have to like kind of deal with it sometimes. Mr. Northwest is dealing with it right now. Anyway, Weird McGinn Part 1, it's a great episode. I love it. But it's Bill's victory, and I can't put that too high on the list because Bill's the bad guy, and we got to remember that. Even if he's a very love to hate bad guy, I still kind of hate him. So Weird McGinn Part 1, love the episode. Like I said, I love every episode on this list, but not as high as some of you may have hoped. Some of you might be satisfied with this, but this is where I wanted to put it. So yeah. Comes in at number 17.
Not now, sweetie. The grown-ups are talking.
Oh, wow, that's a great offer. How about instead I shuffle the functions of every hole in your face?
So another extremely dark one is Northwest Mansion Mystery. But as weird as it sounds, because I'm showing this scene, I'm kind of choosing the darkest scene from every episode because those are the ones that are easiest to find because that's what most Gravity Falls fans come to the show for. But it's also really sweet, and that's what I come to the show for. Pacifica finally broke off from the world's worst chain, and if I feel like they needed time to bring her closure in the series finale. But it's a good thing that she's in the comic, though, because we're finally getting some closure on Dipsifica, which, isn't the best ship ever, but it's the best ship in Gravity Falls, because Gravity Falls kind of has some trash ships. I'm not gonna lie. I love the show. It's still my favorite show of all time, but the ships are trash. I'm sorry. Bill Dip, go away. So, really, most of this list has just been like, really funny episodes of Gravity Falls. And that's kind of what I've been ranking them by. Weird McGinn Part 1 and the Northwest Mansion Mystery weren't necessarily funny. They were pretty dark. But they earned their spot on the list. But this is where the show gets really serious. And this is where I'm going to get kind of serious too, because this is a heartbreaking episode. Dipper and Mabel versus the future. If it's not the most heartbreaking episode in the series, it's one of the most. It doesn't make me cry, but it's just so hard to watch, kind of. Like, it's like Dipper growing farther and farther away from his sister, which, which for one of a sibling, that is freaking hard. Oh my gosh, that's hard on my heart, bro. And Ford is kind of an ass on this episode. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of his fault that that Mabel and Dipper are separated. But I understand. This is kind of Dipper's dream, and Ford is helping him out. So he has good intention, but it's like, I don't know. As someone with a sibling, I don't understand how Dipper could even consider like just leaving his twin behind after all these years, and the fact that he makes that choice causes Weird McGinn. Most people say it's completely Mabel's fault that Weird McGinn started. I kind of think it's Dipper and Ford's fault too. for kind of planning this behind her back almost, you know? I mean, I know she heard it through the walkie, but like I don't think Dipper planned on her hearing it. I think that he was about to tell her, and she had an awful day, you know, and oh no, it was just really hard to watch. I don't blame her for Weird McGinn whatsoever. I know this is an episode that everyone points to, with Mabel being super selfish. I think she was selfish in Sock Opera. I don't think she's being selfish here. I think Dipper was being more selfish than she was, to be honest. But yeah, it was heartbreaking, and it was a very good episode. It was sweet at first, then it gets dark, and then Weird McGinn Part 2 gets sweet again. But yeah, from this point until the end of Weird McGinn 1, like this series gets super dark, bro. But yeah, I love this episode. It's heartbreaking, it's amazing, and it comes in at number 15. So yeah, another heartbreaking one, The Society of the Blind Eye. This is the one where we really find out why McGucket, who always seemed like a complete joke of a character, you know, is insane. Like, we literally go through the process in these flashbacks of how a man became insane. This is what a kid's show is these days, guys. It's an icon in the series, really. And Alex being a troll on the show just shows how great this fan base truly is, because he convinced the whole fan base before this episode aired that McGucket was the author of the journals, but this scene confirmed that he knew the author, but he wasn't the author. And yeah, journal number 3 kind of goes into why he started using the memory gun. It was because of that, like, monster from Boss Babel, that if you look into it, his eyes, you see your worst nightmare. That creature is a lot more dangerous in journal number 3 than he is in the series. They just play him as like a joke in the series. But you know, everything gets darker the farther you get into the show, and this episode's heartbreaking, but it's also, again, really sweet, because McGucket really accepts his memories. You know, like he says, they're who he is, and now that he remembers, he can start working towards, you know, fixing himself. And in the series, I think I do notice that he gets less and less crazy throughout the series. This moment, he was very mature about it, and it was really sweet. I love this moment, and it really deserves The Society of the Blind Eye. Answered a lot of questions, solved a lot of mysteries of the show, and that's why this episode comes in at number 14. So yeah, it might be kind of weird for me to have Carpe Diem over all these other really emotional, really dark, really meaningful episodes, but to be honest, I think Carpe Diem is more funny than, you know, The Society of the Blind Eye is emotional. This episode literally has my favorite moment in the whole series, and the body swapping concept is done incredible on this show. I love it. It's really 10 out of 10, guys. I'm going to play my favorite moment just because I think you all know what it is. It's the reason this episode is here.
Oh, good, Zeus. You got a second? Look, times are tough, the economy or something, etc. Basically, I have to cut your pay. What are you doing? Is this some sort of negotiating tactic? Because it's not gonna work. Fine, I was lying. I'll give you a raise. Just never do that again. Ugh.
So coming in at our number 12 spot, this is going to be Tourist Trapped. Tourist Trapped is an amazing episode, and it is the first episode. It is the episode that started it all. Now, to be honest, what impresses me the most about this episode is the fact that Alex made this episode all by himself. That's right. I'm not sure if he fully animated it, but he did write it. And that doesn't show, because even as a standalone episode, this episode is amazing and absolutely adorable with that awkward sibling hug moment. I wish I could watch this episode for the first time again, to be honest. If McGucket can give me that memory gun, I would love him forever, because
and he'd definitely be my new favorite character. The first time I'd watch this show again, like I promised Makaka, if you give me your memory gun, the next time I watch Gravity Falls without remembering what the show is, you'll be my favorite character, no doubt. Speaking of amazing starts, let's talk about Scarioki. The episode of my... Actually, you know what? I take back what I said about Gideon's song. Gideon's song is incredible, but my favorite song in the series is Taking Over Midnight. This song is amazing. This episode is amazing. Like, I love it whenever... I don't know why, but I love it whenever, like, zombie shows and zombie movies, like... I know Gravity Falls isn't a zombie-only show, but, like, I love it whenever they just have the stupidest way of, like, defeating the zombies. Like, I remember this one zombie movie where they, like, threw water on it, and they were like, wow, we lost so many people, and all we have to do is just throw water on them, and that cured everything. And it was honestly so great, and in this episode, it's singing a girly pop song. Like, how could you not love this? This is incredible. This is adorable. It was really like the calm before the storm of season 2, because the storm comes in season 2. But it was an amazing episode. I love it, and a lot of green blood. Yeah, this season gets really gory and dark. I'm really surprised anything in Gravity Falls was allowed on a kids show, but it's an amazing kids show. And you know, there are some episodes that I definitely keep for my kids, but some of them are adorable. Some of them have amazing messages, and I just love this show so much. And Scarioki is a perfect example of why. By the way, about last time, I don't have a kid yet. I'm just saying, whenever I do have a kid, this will probably be one of the first shows that I show them, because I want them to watch good kid shows, not the trash that's on probably gonna be on the network. Then, like, it'll probably all be Teen Titans Go then. I'm gonna be honest, but this is Soos and the Real Girl, another amazing one, hilarious, terrifying, and Soos. These have got to be the 10 things that, or the three things that are required to make a GF episode to be top 10 material. But to be top 9, you're gonna have to add a bit of emotion. And anyone who wonders how I could get so attached to characters from a kid's show needs to watch this episode. I love this one. It's at number 9 for a reason. Baby Soos is adorable. Everything about the way this ends is just so pure. Grunkle Stan is not only the world's best Grunkle, but also Soos' world's best dad. When Soos really needed, real dad wasn't there when he needed him to take that title. And it's amazing. Whenever I said like there are certain episodes that I want to keep away from my kids earlier in the video, you know, this is definitely not one of them. This is probably one of the first things I want them to see. You know, Grunkle Stan in this episode is the perfect example of the dad I want to strive to be, and Soos' dad is the perfect example of the dad I don't want to be. You know, it's amazing, and Soos being like, I know who my real family is now, and it's you dudes. It's so great. And Soos as a kid, it's kind of like me as a kid. So this episode is really relatable to me in more ways than one. And it's just, oh my gosh, I love this episode. So yeah, coming in at number 8, this episode is Dreamscapers, the episode that started all the Gravity Falls Illuminati conspiracy theories. You know, Illuminati exposed, all those from the Vigilant Christian and from that other YouTuber, I don't even remember his name. Bill is more cute in this one than he is scary, to be honest. Season 2, he's terrifying, but this episode, he's just kind of adorable and absolutely hilarious. Or maybe I'm just hungry for nachos every time I see this episode. I don't know, but because I'm definitely hungry for nachos right now. But like, I don't know, man. I think Bill is awesome in this episode. His voice is very different in this episode than it is in season 2. And to be honest, the first time I heard it, I was like, seriously, that's it? Someone that literally represents the Illuminati, like the most secretive society in the world, like has that voice?
I don't know, man. I was disappointed at first, but I grew to love to hate Bill as a character, and this episode started that. And to be honest, in this episode, I think I more hated to love Bill, but this episode was hilarious. It kind of was like really dark, but it still had like the season 1 kind of like funny vibe to it, and it was like the perfect mix. I feel. I think this episode and Gideon Rises was like where Gravity Falls was at its peak in like feel good. You know, season 2 was just really emotional. Like it's amazing. It's an art form, but this episode and Gideon Rises are the best like feel good episodes in the whole series. So yeah, Dreamscapers needs to come in at number 8, and holy crap, we're getting close to number 1.
Good luck sleeping tonight.
So yeah, this is another really emotional one. This Dipper and Wendy scene is really sweet, but really, really tough. You know, I wasn't a huge shipper of Wendy, but like it was still tough because I knew how much Wendy meant to Dipper. You know, but the way Wendy handled it, like, really makes Wendy one of my favorite characters. Honestly, like, I've never seen a girl reject a guy so nicely. And like, that wasn't all that this episode offered. It was also pretty dark, but this moment really, like, I feel like Northwest Mansion and Weirdman Again Part 1 are both a lot darker than this one, just because this moment makes this episode, in my mind, it reminds me more of a sweet episode than a dark episode. But, you know, then again, there is that iconic Seuss line near the end that also reminds me of my nightmares the night after seeing this episode. Rumble McSkirmish, probably the most iconic character in all of Gravity Falls. So iconic that freaking IGN made a video about him. Literally. The animation is super unique in this one. It's super like pixely and stuff, and I love it. And Rumble McSkirmish has me dead every time he opens his mouth. And the video game references are amazing. And oh my gosh, I just love the quote, all the quotes Rumble McSkirmish has. This is, without a doubt, the funniest episode in the series. Now, we're in our top 5, guys, so get ready for some major feels.
Your question makes my shoulders bounce. Fireball, uppercut, countercut, ball of punch.
So you'll protect me from Robbie?
Challenge accepted. Press start.
Oh my gosh, why is it that everything, even this blooming shirt about Gravity Falls feels so amazing? I mean, besides this hat, you know, all hats are annoying. Every hat gives you hat head. But, like, everything about Gravity Falls feels so great. The journal freaking smells and tastes good. I have taken a, I mean, I didn't actually eat it, I just kind of licked it. And it does taste good. This shirt, like, the fabric on it, bro, the moment I put it on, I was like, holy frick. This feels amazing. But yeah, let's talk about Gideon Rises. Speaking about feel good, because usually Gravity Falls doesn't really feel good. But this is one of the rare moments that Gravity Falls feels amazing, bro. This whole episode, well, not the whole episode, you know. Most of the episode, the Pines are losing. But in the end, bro, Dipper pulls a full-out badass right here. Against Gideon, and everything about this episode was just awesome. Like the bridge scene right here, the vending machine scene where we finally figure out what Stan's been hiding, blooming amazing. And unlike Take Back the Falls, after this episode, I was really hyped, excited, and happy. Now, Take Back the Falls was amazing. Don't get me wrong. It's an awesome series finale. My favorite series finale of a show like ever. But it left me really depressed, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it had a sad ending, and if a show you love has a sad ending, it's gonna leave you depressed. But this had an awesome ending, and this grappling hook moment right here got me. It got me. It got me. It's right here. I was whenever this explosion first happened, I was like, they're dead. They're dead. There's no way that this is the end. I'm about to cry. It's really great, but then no grappling. speaking of the illegal website thing, listen, I've bought a lot of Gravity Falls merch, okay? I made up for the money that they lost in me not watching Disney Channel's gay commercials. I'm sorry, but I cannot sit through those. But I am buying the Blu-ray too, so I'll rewatch the series there with pleasure. Thank you very much. The moment I realized, yeah, if Sincere Sibling Hug can make me cry, then the ending is about to make me bawl. And this episode was the one that made me realize that the Gravity Falls ending was going to be super emotional, and I was probably going to cry during it. But I was ready. After this episode, I was ready. Because this moment right here got me so sad, dude. I mean, sad in like a good way, though. It was like kind of... This moment was like joyful tears. Whenever Mabel and Dipper were leaving, it was like actual sad tears, you know? But like this moment was so cute. I love it so much. It's 10 out of 10. It's Wyrmregen Part 2. Really, this scene right here is the reason it's where it is. I know there's one scene per episode that I always say, like, this scene specifically is the reason this episode is here. But it's true most of the time, but also the rest of this episode is just absolutely incredible. The whole idea of Mabeland was just awesome, and yeah, I love every second of this episode. I love basically every second of Gravity Falls, you know, but this episode was just one of them that I enjoyed more than any, and it comes in at number 4. All of the questions we had are answered here. The history of the Mystery Shack, the heartbreaking history of Ford and Fiddleford, the way they continued and elaborated it on Journal 3. Before I read that journal, this would have been like number 13 or something. Now it's number 3. Seriously, if you even like kind of like Gravity Falls, go get that journal, because that journal is amazing. And this episode, like, really as a standalone, is also amazing. Just the flashbacks and all of that, like the way it continues, not what he seems, is so great. I kind of hate how like it's just so heartbreaking, and how it's like it like foreshadows Mabel and Dipper and Dipper Mabel versus the future, like them kind of losing each other. But none of these losses are permanent, and that's what makes this episode, you know, number 3 and not number 1. It's emotional and it's amazing. But it doesn't really send a good message, this episode, as a standalone. You have to finish the series to get to the beautiful message at the end. But this episode gave me so many chills, especially at that moment where like Fiddleford got pulled through the portal and he came out and he was like, when gravity falls and earth becomes sky, fear the beast with just one eye. That was freaking insane. I was like, what the heck is going on? But yeah, this whole fight scene, how Stan's tattoo was finally answered too. This episode literally like just didn't leave many questions besides where was Ford in the portal, and without this episode, I don't think the journal could have made any sense. So this episode really made journal number 3 happen, I think, or at least the incredible story inside journal number 3. So amazing episode. 10 out of 10. I would watch again. In fact, I've already watched like 53 times. And it comes in at number 3. So yeah, I'm sure none of y'all are surprised Not What He Seems got this high on the list. This episode has so many amazing messages and so many amazing... just the scene. This scene was I'll admit, this scene was the first legitimate time I got chills in Gravity Falls. And at the same time, literally at the same time as I was getting chills, I was tearing up. A show has never made me feel that way since then, and never had before then. And yeah, journal number 3 kind of elaborates on trusting no one is not the answer, but people need to like earn the trust you give them, and to make the right choices when it comes to trust. It could save someone's life, and in this case, it saved Ford's life. Not necessarily because of the journal, but in fact, the fact that Mabel trusted Grumko Stan caused Stan to be unable to Ford. I mean, to be unable to defeat Bill. But it all basically worked out in the end anyway. And without Mabel's choice, who knows if Ford would have ever came back home, and who knows if the family could have ever been brought back together, because this family was broken before this scene, and because of Mabel, in the end, everyone was brought back. And look at this. This is so heartbreaking. You could see like her tears floating up because of the anti-gravity. It's amazing. This scene is freaking shot beautifully. Everything about the scene is so well animated. I cannot believe that this is in a kid show. Like, whenever a kid show first made me tear up, this is the first kid show that ever made me tear up, right? So like, I wasn't expecting anything this emotional. I was just expecting like, Justin Roiland is Alex Hirsch's friend. I'm sure this will have some cool Rick and Morty Easter eggs, and it does. It has some cool Rick and Morty Easter eggs, but that's not what I got out of this show. All right, the Rick and Morty Easter eggs were like the last thing on my mind at this point. This show was so amazing. Honestly, I gotta thank Justin Roiland for helping me find this show, and Not What He Seems, without a doubt, comes in at number 2. So coming in at our number 1 spot, guys, we have Take Back the Falls. Now, at this point, it's more cliche to choose Not What He Seems as number 1 than Take Back the Falls. Like, Joey, what the heck? Why are you choosing Take Back the Falls over Not What He Seems? Well, Not What He Seems is what started the emotional roller coaster of Gravity Falls, but this is the episode that ended it. There's amazing action. Bill is finally defeated. The journal really adds to the awesomeness, and the intro sequence with the Shacktron is amazing. Now, oh my gosh, the main reason that this is on the list is because of the ending. This is where the family's brought back together. Evil is finally defeated, and the journal literally says that everything that was related to Bill's cipher is tossed in the fire at the end. That is just beautiful to me for some reason. I don't know why. I might even go to get my journal and read that whole ending, because journal number 3 added to the awesomeness of Take Back the Falls. And this whole action scene with the Shacktron, I'm honestly just talking because I really want to see it right now, because it is amazing. Bill kind of looks weird here. I don't know if anyone else noticed that. This is the only flaw I could say in the episode, that Bill looked kind of weird at that point. It looked like someone else designed them rather than the regular animation team. But oh my gosh, this whole thing was so cool. This whole action scene, all the characters finally being together, finally defeating Bill, and the show ending, it sucked, but it went out with the biggest bang it could have went out on. Now, I'm gonna put a few of my favorite clips from Take Back the Falls together, and also I want to confirm to y'all that next week I'll be making a full series Gravity Falls tribute. I'm not exactly sure what song I'm going to be using yet, but I'm going to be basically making an A and B. Yeah, like I said, the month of July is me celebrating the Gravity Falls Blu-ray. So every week we'll be having a new Gravity Falls video. Next week is going to be an A and B, so get excited for that, and I'm going to let the awesomeness play. I'll see you guys in a bit. Thanks for watching. This was a big project for me, and I'm really happy to be finished with it, and I'm really happy to have done it. I really enjoyed it, and I hope y'all did too. Peace out, nerds. God bless, and I'll see y'all in the next one.
Look at this place. A perfect, calm, orderly void. Gotta hand it to you, Ford. You really know how to clear your... What?
Do a pretty good impression of my brother, don't I? Switch clothes and no one can tell us apart. Welcome to my mind. Surprised you didn't recognize it. You're going down, Bill. You're getting erased. Memory gun. Pretty clever, huh?
You idiot! Don't you realize you're destroying your own mind, too?
It's not like I was using this space for much anyway.
Let me out of here! Let me out! Why isn't this working?
Hey, look at me. Turn around and look at me, you one-eyed demon. You're a real wise guy, but you made one fatal mistake. You messed with my family.
You're making a mistake. I'll give you anything. Money, fame, riches, infinite power, your own galaxy, please! No!
What's happening to me? Guess I was good for something after all.